Hey, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. The most important thing the U.S. government does is set the policy for spending, for the money it's going to take from you and then how it's going to spend that money. And it's all economic, right? Whether it's taxes or spending or subsidies or military or whatever we're doing with that, that is the number one most important thing our government does. Well, in my opinion, and it should be. That's how it was set up. All right, you still with me here? Okay. So if the most important thing the government does is economic in nature, what's the economic policy of the government as it stands right now? What economic playbook are they following? Do we not know? I mean, it's kind of close to Keynesian economics, but let me ask you, what kind of economist are you? Do you know? Do you not know? Even if you do know, how many of the American voters do you think if I put a microphone in front of their face right now and I said, what kind of economic philosophy do you support? They would even have an answer. They would even know what they could answer. I'm an Austrian economist. I'll say that. And then I'll say the next question. For the candidates, what's their economic philosophy? Are they an Austrian economist? Are they a Keynesian economist? What are they? Do they even know? Have they ever even said it out loud? Have you ever even heard Donald Trump say what kind of economic school of thought he supports? What about Biden? See, we go out and we're voting on these people, and the same criticism goes for every single person in Congress and Senate, even at the state level, even at the governor level, all that. Their most important job, we're not even tracking it. We're more concerned with whether someone has a stutter or is mumbling or is a Nazi or evil or fat or said bad things about women or showered with their daughter. I mean, all these things that are sort of secondary considerations to the actual policy preferences that are going to be governing your entire life. So this is why I focus on economics so much in this show. It's the answer to half of our problems in this country. Half of the things that ail you today, whether it's paying. I went to Subway yesterday. I just got a number one combo. I'm sorry, just the sandwich, chips, and a drink. $13. $13. Why? Not because someone showered with their daughter, or not because someone grabbed them by the pee, or colluded with Russia, or smoked crack. Economics. So I get my antenna hyper excited when I see both the Department of Justice and Texas and 27 other states are now suing Ticketmaster and Live Nation for antitrust violations. I play for you Robert Mueller.
Earlier today, the Department of Justice, joined by 29 states and the District of Columbia, sued Live Nation Entertainment and its wholly owned subsidiary Ticketmaster for violating the Sherman Antitrust Act. In recent years, Live Nation Ticketmaster's exorbitant fees and technological failures have been criticized by fans and artists alike. But we are not here today because Live Nation Ticketmaster's conduct is inconvenient or frustrating. We are here because, as we allege, that conduct is anti-competitive and illegal. Our complaint makes clear what happens when a monopolist dedicates its resources to entrenching its monopoly power and insulating itself from competition rather than investing in better products and services. We allege that Live Nation has illegally monopolized markets across the live concert industry in the United States for far too long. It is time to break it up.
I got to say, I can't disagree harder, sir. And while I've been getting along with a lot of stuff Ken Paxton's been doing lately, I think he's wrong on this too. And here's just another example of how bipartisan does not mean good. Sometimes it does. Most of the time, it does not. So why is it always the case that when you're told something's bipartisan, when you go look at it, what is it? It's usually Republicans violating their principles and taking up Democrat positions on some issue. And unless you can give me a counterexample. But for more of the reporting on this, the complaint against Ticketmaster is they have these what are called anti-competitive contracts where they tell places like the American Airlines Center, hey, you let us handle all your tickets and don't let anyone else handle the concerts. And they sign a contract with them and we'll give you all of these fees. And the AAC likes it and the other venues like it. Well, the prosecutor's saying that's not fair. They control about 60% of the concert promotions at major concert venues. 60%? Well, that's not a monopoly. Okay, well, what if you just look at the major concert venues that can hold over 5,000 people or whatever? They control 80% of that. Still not a monopoly, still not worthy of antitrust concerns, even if you do believe in such a thing. But really, it's an election year, so be suspicious about the timing of this. Because when you look at the timing, that makes it pretty obvious. This is a thinly veiled attempt to appeal to low information and low IQ voters. Did Ticketmaster make any great changes in the last year or so? No. So why do this now instead of when you first got into office? Ticketmaster wasn't doing this in 2021 or 2022 or 2023 or 2019, or you just discovered this injustice 5 months before an election. Sure. This isn't a PR move. Now, vote for me and I'll make your concert tickets cheaper, kiddos. I'll pay off your student loan. I'll give you all kinds of free stuff. I'll give you anything. Just vote for me. You can go see Bad Bunny for 20% off if you just vote for me. Look, the artists don't mind. In fact, they're getting rich off of it. There's a reason why they could choose other venues and they go ahead and go with this one. They like it. It's not that bad of a deal. They make more money with Ticketmaster. Eventually, that may change, but at the point right now, that's the truth. And look, my general feelings on monopolies are pretty obvious for anyone who knows I'm a libertarian. I don't really worry about those. It's really hard for those to exist if they're being abusive in a free market. But I'm curious to get everybody's take on this, if you have a take on this, because every other antitrust case I see has similar complaints. Is it really a monopoly? Does Live Nation really have a monopoly if they only control 80% and you're just looking at the tippy top most giant concerts? No, not really. Are they really hurting consumers? I don't know. I just saw Bad Bunny fill up the AAC and thousands of consumers thought the fees weren't too much. If the fees were too high, people would buy fewer tickets and they would either lower the fees or suffer the consequences. So no, they must not really be hurting consumers. The consumers disagreed with you. It's not really immune to the rules of the free market either. None of what they're saying in these complaints I see is in the real world. Because if the performers and or the consumers cared enough, they would stop selling and buying tickets through Ticketmaster. The market would punish them for their mistakes. The market would punish Live Nation or the AAC. Other outlets would pick up the slack. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. So really the only problem here, there's no problem, except the state wanting to make everything its business. Look, I work next to one of these venues. I see thousands of people showing up to all these huge concerts at the AAC. See, the people who are wrong about their view of economics think this is a problem. Because they're telling you Ticketmaster abuses their customers. But in the real world, with your own eyes, you can see customers don't really have a problem with the fees. If the fees were too high, they wouldn't buy them. So I guess the fees are not too high. The market disagrees with you. The market is actually right. You just don't like the results. And that's why I stress economics on this show so often. It really is the answer to about half the problems, or in this case, perceived problems that we're supposed to have in this country. But remember that statement. The market is right. They just don't like the results, because that applies to a lot of other things that we deal with on this show. This whole thing about electric cars. No. People don't like electric cars. The market's right. You just don't like the results. They don't like windmills or solar panels or fake meat. The gender pay gap's a great example. No, the market is right. Guys deserve to make more money. You just don't like the result. They're wrong about the price of gas, food deserts, Bud Light, Duck Dynasty, Colin Kaepernick. They're wrong about all these things, and the market is right. They just don't like the results. And look, one of the great examples, even younger people may remember that it was just 20, 25 years ago, the same Department of Justice was suing Windows. Why? Because their operating system was on like 90% of the machines that you're using. Now, they're suing Apple for the exact same thing. They didn't have to break up Windows. They didn't have to win a suit against them. They didn't have to divide them in half and have them compete against themselves in order to break the monopoly. No, all you had to do is wait. Because economically speaking, these people have no idea what they're talking about. And if you don't know what kind of economic philosophy you support, how on earth do you know who to vote for? 800-288-WBAP. 800-288-9227. This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.